Hey everybody, we welcome to the Green Room YXE. It is Wednesday, March 24th. I'm Leslie,
I'm Johnny.
and I don't know why I always see our name down there, Johnny and Leslie, and I almost say like I'm Johnny because you
I'm
are
Leslie.
come first. But anyways, oh my gosh. Okay, welcome. This is episode number 9. It's hard
9.
to believe.
Wow.
Yeah, we're a live show, but if you're watching us, hello. If you're watching us, the recorded episode, and we also have all of our past episodes up on YouTube, the No YXE YouTube channel. So check them out. Some awesome guests on there. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope you guys had a good week. Um, we had it was okay week, but yesterday we had our cat was sick, so that was not fun. That took over the whole day, but he's okay now. We took him to the vet and they did their thing on him and he's okay now, but it's
It was a long day.
stressful. Yeah, it's always stressful, right? Going through um
Pet.
pet health issues for sure. So anyhow, so onward and upward.
Meow.
So
Meowsers.
okay. So what's happening in the world of music? There's a couple things that I saw or you saw that and I confirmed it that Ness Creek has canceled their festival.
Again, 2
It's
years in a row
2
now.
years in a row,
So
which sucks. And
they're all gonna tumble eventually.
we feel like they're going to tumble. They're just going to I
Another summer without festivals.
yeah, and it's hard because it's such a and I don't know if everybody feels this way, but it's very conflicting because summer's coming. We're really happy that it's warm and we feel excited, but then it's just like it is like that groundhog day because it feels like it's going to be the same as last summer and where there's not a lot happening and so that's tough, right? Um but love the warmer weather and everybody can get out and that really really helps a lot. um there was something that I saw in the news which was interesting and weird was South Korea, and I don't think they're the only ones doing this, but they're leading. They're using AI to produce music by musicians that are no longer with us, who have passed
Wow.
on. The programs are being used to kind of learn and mimic or extrapolate, what they would write like, um, and their style of writing and different musicians. So they're going to figure out what Kurt Cobain it might sound like today. So that's really kind of
Yeah,
weird.
it
Like
is weird.
I mean, I feel like, well, what do you need humans for?
Have you
AI
heard
can just
that
do it all,
have
but
you heard that new song by Dead Kurt Cobain?
yeah, I know that is
No.
very strange, and
That's
it could come to that.
it
It
could
could very well come to that.
yeah, right? Well,
Um,
musicians are quitting all the time right these days, and so
and AI is just coming up
just
with new stuff on its own.
make some
So,
dead guy have a song.
oh my gosh, yeah, that's a bit.
We
That's
were talking with Julian, and I was talking with Julian when we went
our son
to get his
Julian.
haircut today,
Yeah,
and I told him about this, and
what do you
we were
think?
thinking, well, we were thinking like, well, maybe Kurt was done, kind of tired. Nirvana was maybe at their end, anyways, and then
Mm,
I said, well, maybe he would have done some strange experimental album, and then another
hmm.
more normal album, and then maybe by this time they might have had a Nirvana reunion already,
Yeah, I know.
but.
But that brings up a good point. It's like, how could AI know what that artist would be going through and the different experiences they would have had that would have made them maybe write a certain song? So no, the AI doesn't have it over
No
the
AI.
humans.
No AI for you.
So, also on this day in 1977, we're going back a little bit, Fleetwood Mac released Dreams from their album Rumors,
Huge.
and which became their first and only US #1 hit single. I didn't know
Dreams.
that. Yeah,
Wow.
Dreams. And Stevie Nicks wrote the song in early 1976 at the Record Plant Studio in Sausalito, California, while she was just waiting to be called in to record, and she wrote it in 10 minutes.
Wow.
It's a good payoff for
It's a good
just 10
payoff
minutes
for
of
one song.
work. Yeah.
I know a funny story, and it goes back to when we were on the road in Universal Honey, and we were in a van,
Yeah.
and we
Fun
had
times.
tapes everywhere. Tapes were, you had a tape player in the van, so everybody had tapes and boxes of tapes, and tapes were stacked everywhere.
And suitcases, kind of those little suitcases of tapes.
Yeah, and
And
then I had this one tape of Lindsey Buckingham that I'd painstakingly made of all his, from his solo records and Fleetwood Mac songs that I liked by Lindsey Buckingham, and
yeah,
it was one of my favorite tapes.
it's
And
awesome.
we I don't know where we were. It was somewhere in Wisconsin, and they had a chance to record the band. The sound man said, "Hey, we can record on cassette tonight," and so he went out to the van and he grabbed my Lindsey Buckingham tape and he recorded us live over top of that.
I
And I'm like,
know. We were
and
all sad.
later, I'm like, "Where's that Lindsey Buckingham tape?" And he goes, "Oh, I taped over it. I didn't think anybody would want to listen to Lindsey Buckingham."
I know. Meanwhile, we had it on
Yeah.
repeat. That's where I first heard Walk a
Walk a Thin Line.
Walk a Thin Line, which I love that song. Oh my gosh. Also,
Off Tusk, by the way, and Mick Fleetwood did a version on his album.
right.
So
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Awesome song. You got to
Yeah.
check it out. Also, in 1990, on this day, Sinead O'Connor went to #1 with her album "I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got," featuring the hit single "Nothing Compares to You." Yeah, because she was on the same label when we were with The Pursuit of Happiness. She was on Chrysalis
Yeah.
as well as us. We never
Never
met
no.
her though,
No.
but it was still cool being on her label.
We met some people from we met Was Not Was.
Yeah.
They were on that label.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Who else?
Midjur. We
Major.
met
Yeah.
Midjur, yeah. The Proclaimers.
Proclaimers.
We
Yeah,
met them
that's right.
too.
That's right. Yeah. It was awesome because it was a real kind of cool, close-knit kind of family feel. Also, what other things were going on here? Oh yeah, it's the anniversary of well, not an anniversary, but in 1992, the Milli Vanilli class action lawsuit was settled, and everyone got their $3 rebate.
$3 rebate.
That bought their
Milli
music.
Vanilli.
Yeah, that was a huge thing.
That was my brother was hilarious. This is the second week in a row I brought up my brother. When that
He is
broke,
hilarious.
when that story broke, he called them, Milli Vanilli. He called them phony baloney.
Was that him that came up with that?
I don't know if it was him again, but that's where I first heard it.
Oh, it was kind of sad, that whole situation, but
well, one of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, on a brighter note, Nick Lowe's birthday is today. He was born in 1949.
72.
Yeah.
Love Nick Lowe.
Yeah. And Nina's birthday is today, and she was born in 1960. She's the gal that sang 99 Red Balloons.
And
I don't know if you guys remember that one.
She's 99.
No. And Patterson Hood from Drive-By Truckers. His birthday is today, 1964. So
Brent Carlin's favorite band.
That's right. Brent Carlin, or
Tucker Lane
guitar player. So that's it. That's about it, I think, for music news, unless you have anything on your mind.
Not really.
Yeah. Okay.
I just found a tape here that I have. I packed up boxes and boxes of old stuff, and I found a cassette tape that Ron Spazzeri made me of the 17 Envelope EP that never was released. And that was a band that was with Al Edgar, Robin Billington, and Jay Semko.
Saskatoon band.
And myself.
Yeah.
Recorded in 1983.
That's very cool.
So trying to find a way to leak that.
Yeah, no kidding. It sounds awesome. I heard it. You were blasting it. All right, so let's go on with the show because we're excited. Our guest tonight.
Well, let's kick off. We're leading up to the SCMA Awards, right? So in the next couple of weeks here, we're going to have some local Saskatchewan artists to find out what's going on in the SCMA world and cheer them on and hope that they win in their categories.
Yes, absolutely. So tonight on our show, we have an awesome guest. He's played numerous shows and venues all across Western Canada, like the big, Craven Country Thunder Music Festival. And he's opened up for Trooper, Jess Moskaluke, and his idol, Luke Bryan. We'll have to ask him about that. He's also opened shows for Tom Cochrane and the Red Rider, along with country music legend Tanya Tucker. We'll have to talk to him about that as well because
Our friend Mike
yeah,
was the drummer for Tanya Tucker at that show.
that's right.
Yeah.
He also released his highly anticipated debut EP, Up on Stage, in June of 2020, and is now nominated for a Saskatchewan Country Music Award for EP or Album of the Year. So please welcome to the Green Room, Jarrid Lee.
Hey, it's me.
Hey,
Feels good to
Jarrid.
be
No, we
on
can't
this
hear you.
side, getting
Oh no,
interviewed
you're
now.
muted.
Hello, hello, hello.
Okay. There we
Good.
go.
There we go. Hey, you're from St. Paul, Alberta. Jarrid, it's nice to see you. And I love what I read in your bio about just your family and your musical family and following your dad around like on tour and stuff like that.
Mhm.
That's my background. Like my parents, my dad particularly was a musician. So we have a lot of things to talk about for sure. Just as far as, being backstage or being in these places that a lot of people don't get to see. So
Mhm.
just tell me a little bit about some of those memories. Like, what was that like?
It was amazing to just be able to hang out backstage and, get to hang out with the boys when they're setting up and hear all the jokes and the excitement before their first song starts for the evening, whether it be a wedding or a Bolorama, music festival, anything and everything that my dad's band, County Express, played. I was there for the most part. Sometimes I wouldn't get to spend the whole night with them, but it was exciting to be, just to grow up backstage, and you get to have a whole different family. And every town you go to, you have certain friends you hang out with, and other musicians and special guests that get asked to go up and play. But for the most part, growing up backstage was that's kind of where I got my introduction into music and my education into how to be nice to people and shake hands and live with integrity. So that's kind of where I guess I got my start from, was just being able to watch my dad perform, and other people in my family, they all perform as well. So I came from a very musical family, like most people do, and um, just fell into it as I grew older. So
Yeah, no kidding. And how can you not, like, when you are around that excitement and music, like, I don't know how you cannot end up being a musician or being in the music business or something, right? Because it is so exciting, and you're just proud of your dad and all your family just playing music and doing it and expressing themselves. It's amazing.
yeah, I there was no shortage of inspiration growing up. I had uncle that played fiddle, and one of my uncles plays fiddle now, and there wasn't a house that I went to that never had a guitar in it or never had a piano, and people were always singing and coming up with songs or emulating, Métis music and country and old country like Merle, Waylon, Willie, Hank, CCR, and I think the biggest thing for me was the backup band for most talent shows was my dad. So I got to listen to other people's inspirations and what they liked, and we call them talent show bangers. Like, whatever songs people sing that they take first win. Those are the ones, like "Don't Close Your Eyes," for example. Or there's so many songs that I've heard over and time again. It was like every weekend I'd hear the same song, and it was in my dad's set list. So they knew songs like the back of their hand. They would just have a different person performing them for talent shows. So that's kind of where I got my start. Was my dad goes, "Okay, you're gonna learn Brooks and Dunn." Like, okay, what song? He goes, "You're gonna learn hard working man, all right?" I said, "Okay, I'm a hard working man." So here's this little kid at 7, 8 years old, and first time up on stage, and it was nerve wracking. I was scared. I didn't want to do it, but there was really
But
two
you
other
did it.
kids, so my chances of winning were like 1 in 3. So we all won, even though it was like first, second, and I got third place, and I wasn't very good. To stand out the
Right.
I was so
Well,
shy. I would always shy away from people, and I'm still shy to this day. But now I'm learning to just put on the best show that I can and be the
Yeah.
most outgoing person that I am. And it's kind of like how you do your shows. It's like there's a Jarrid, but then there's also a Jarrid that's up on stage. That's a totally different person. And you just put on your persona and you dress your best and you put on your gear and all your bracelets and your necklaces and stuff, and you just go out and rock the show. And then when
Yeah,
you get
it's
off,
true.
you're back to yourself again.
Well, it's true. And there,
Mhm.
that is true. It reminds me of a story that my dad told me because he was a, jazz musician and played with a lot of different incredible artists, one of them being Judy Garland. And he would
Mhm.
say when he was backstage, he would say that Judy Garland, before the curtains opened, she looked so frail and so tiny, and just like she was gonna, you could just, just flick her and she would fall over and scared. And then the curtains would open, and he said that all of a sudden she'd become larger than life. Yeah, she would just be like, here I am. And, so it's amazing how that happens. And even as scared as you can be before going on stage, soon as you're hitting that chord, there's something that just happens where you're just like, I know that this is where I'm supposed to be.
Mhm.
Right?
Absolutely.
and sometimes you're
Um,
like, what is the first chord?
Sometimes.
you ever look at each other and be like, "We're not doing that song. We're doing this one."
Never.
Never. It's always
Yeah.
pre-rehearsed. It's always the first chord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
it's
the
interesting.
excitement.
It's interesting that you say the first song you performed with your dad was "Hardworking Man,"
Mhm.
because that sort of defines you, in my opinion, as a musician. You're always looking for the next gig. You're always out there. You're working hard, and you learned the integrity part from your father, like you said, and
Mhm.
that's some pretty valuable lessons. So
Valuable
It.
lessons, and just and building that kind of, like, just people can see that,
Mhm.
and building those relationships that know that, so it goes a long way. It does.
Yeah, a handshake and the word integrity. Like the word integrity means everything to me. So if I say I'm going to do something, I better do it. If not, then there's always going to be somebody that's going to call you on it regardless. Like I grew up in a small town where if you didn't meet your friends on Wednesday at the swimming pool at 6 o'clock, they would you'd have to see them next day at school and be like, "Hey, where were you? You said you were going to be there." So people will call you on your stuff anyway.
Mhm. Mhm.
So when I look at the word integrity, if you say you're going to do something, you better do it.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
it also goes like with the law of attraction and all that, saying, "Oh, by May 1st, I'm going to have my first music video released." And I'm putting that out there to the universe. By May 1st, Up on Stage is going to be out there on YouTube and for everybody to be watching it.
yeah,
So it
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
we have to have integrity. And honestly, it goes a long way. Even a handshake. My dad has gotten, a lot of shows based on just a handshake saying, "Yeah, we'll do it." And if, people
yeah.
can pay what they can, sometimes that's all they can afford. And you can't be too proud to accept $100 or 1,000 or 2,000 or three or four or five, but you just have to be able to perform, and it's gonna lead into other things anyway. So it's just kind of that
Yeah.
ripple effect.
Yeah.
So I played shows where I met Johnny at Piggy's, and that one paid me, I think, $40 for 2 sets. So for the most part it was fun, but I got to meet you guys, and then it spiraled into other things as well, which created this relationship and shaking hands with Johnny and getting to know him and building relationships, being
Right.
nice to one another.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
what's that? It's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. That's a
Yeah.
good rule for musicians in the world today.
Yeah. So true.
So your small town, by the way, I have a song called "Small Town," was St. Paul, Alberta.
Mhm.
Now,
There it is, home of the landing pad, baby. Can you
there you
believe that
go.
we have
I
the
saw
first landing pad that
UFO.
it's a UFO landing pad? I'm
Right.
not even kidding you. All of these
Yeah.
small towns in the Lakeland, they all have something, whether it be
Wow.
Wow.
a mallard or giant mushrooms or a giant pierogi or a giant sausage or a giant,
Giant Easter
Oh
egg.
my
serious
gosh, that's
giant
awesome.
Easter egg in Vegreville, St.
Yeah.
Paul.
Wow. Oh,
Pause.
oh, that's so
Had a
good.
You know,
landing
I
pad.
love that.
so we all have
So
small little things.
I'm just curious here. I think you maybe told me this at one point, but I don't know. You're closer to Edmonton than you were to
Mhm.
Saskatoon. What made you find your way to Saskatoon instead of Edmonton?
Honey, my
Right,
wife's
Right.
from
right,
there. My wife's from here, so
right.
it's been her place of where she grew up. So for the most part, I wanted to come to school here, and I basically checked out the area and I said, okay, here's where I want to go to school. Here's what I want to take. There's a lot of music here, and I love the fact that Saskatoon has all these musical events all throughout the year except for now because of COVID. But for the most part, man, there's so much to do here. And I kind of grew up here anyways. I used to come here for hockey growing up. So every April, I'd be here for Western Canada Native Minor Hockey Championships. And then they also had a City of Bridges hockey tournament every summer. So it always brought me to Saskatoon every springtime and every summer. And we would even go to Vancouver, but those are the places that I love to travel, is like Western Canada. Haven't been too much to the East Coast yet, but I will. But
Mhm.
that the reasons why I wanted to come here was for school, for music, for business, and of course I got a beautiful wife. So why not? It's all here. I mean, and then I was recruited to join the SCMA through Greg Kozak, and he heard me at Piggies. He goes, "Hey, you're pretty good. You want to sign up to be a member?" I'm like, "For what?" He's like, "The SCMA. You got to be an SCMA member. You like country music, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Greg's this high energy guy, right? You know who Greg Kozak is. I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I'll sign up. Where do I sign up?" So just so happened that Garnett and Lane were there, and Darcy. So it was like an open mic kind of deal. And that's kind of where I got my start, was through the SCMA, and I found it was like my home base. And country music, grew up on it, loved it. Went towards rock when I was in high school, as most people do, with the Metallica, the Pantera, the Megadeth, Kurt Cobain, Nickelback. I don't like Nickelback anymore, but for the most part, it was country music that was always at the heart and the root and the soul of who I was as a person. So I naturally gravitated towards that as I got older. So
Mm.
Saskatoon, it's kind of like my home base now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So back home, you had a band called Chief and Council.
Yep, still do.
Do you still do? Do you guys get together still? So you play as the Jarrid Lee band and Chief and Council?
It started off as the Jarrid Lee band, but I found the Jarrid Lee band, like, it's not about me. Like, that's kind of egotistical to say, "Oh, this is the Jarrid Lee band," but it's about everybody. So one day we played Canada Day in St. Paul, and on our way, I was gonna drop off my buddy Reggie in Lloydminster, and he goes, "Oh man, we should have charged a little more for that gig. We should have charged, a little bit travel, and we could have got a little bit more, like, rooms, and we could have charged a little bit more for the gig, don't you think?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think we could have charged a little bit more." But then I told him, Reggie's in the gray shirt there. He goes, "Oh, we're starting to get greedy. We're starting to sound like Chief and Council here." And we're like, "Whoa, wait a minute. I have an idea." He goes, "If you don't name your band Chief and Council, Jarrid, I'm gonna start my own band that I'm gonna call it Chief and Council." So from there, we just been playing together for the last 5 years, off and on at different venues across Western Canada, mostly casinos now. And that's the name of our band, is Chief and Council. And sometimes it offends some people. To give you an example, we couldn't open up for Tom Cochrane at a music festival under Chief and Council because it offended the promoters and the people that were putting on the event. So we
Oh,
just had to
why
go
did
under
it I don't
my
understand. Why did it offend
I
them?
I don't know. Maybe Chief and Council
Who
was
knows?
offensive towards the actual real Chief and Council. So it's kind
Mm.
of like people that are in leadership. Um, my hat's off to them because they have a tough job anyways. So maybe it
Mhm.
was offensive because it's kind of like poking fun at Chief and Council, with all the
Mm.
jokes about, like, per diem and travel and
Mm.
rooms and all the things you can charge out for. So we
Yeah,
didn't use that name for that music festival. We
gotcha.
just went under my own name, and we got to meet Tom Cochran, and we opened up like right before him. So great guy.
Awesome. Yeah.
Life is a highway.
Yeah, I
You guys
know,
probably
right?
know that life is a highway.
Yeah, for sure. That must have been a great show though, good energy and lots of people and
It was exciting, just to be able to, any stage really, a music festival, and for us to open up for such a Canadian icon like that, it was huge. How you kind of get fan struck a little bit. I got
yeah.
I got fan struck. So I have a book here that has the history of the Junos, and it's got every artist that won all the Junos in there. So of course Tom was in there, and he had his, tassel jacket on, leather jacket. So I went and I brought it to him, and he was doing his vocal warm ups, and his manager's like, "Excuse me, sir, you can't, not right now." And I said, "Okay, but can I get you to? I'm not a fan. I just opened up." He's like, "Yeah, yeah, just drop it at the door. We'll ship it back to you." So I had to leave that book with his manager, got him to autograph it, and it's still sitting right on my desk here, and it's got
Awesome.
every artist in there. So I was blown away. It was my one opportunity I got. I don't know when I'm going to meet him again, so
Right.
it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
it was my one chance to try and get him to
Yep,
sign my Juno book. And if I go to the Junos and bring my book there and show people some old pictures, so be it. Maybe
yep,
I'll be at the Junos in the future. Like last
yep,
year when this whole COVID thing happened, I was supposed to be there with Isque and her crew and helping her, drive around Saskatoon and basically be her chauffeur. But that
yep.
was kind of going to be my introduction to the Junos, was being able to be there with another established artist. So, hopefully next year, if it's live
Yeah,
again, and I don't know what's going to happen. Like Nest Creek just canceled. Who
I
knows?
know.
Nobody
Yeah.
knows. Nobody can predict the future. Not even
No,
artificial intelligence can predict the
not even
future.
it's not even AI can predict the future. I don't think so, but yeah.
Oh, look, we got Dave Rave checking in. Sounding great, guys.
Oh, hey, Dave.
Dave, this is Jared. Jared, this is Dave.
Dave, hello. Nice to meet you.
So you finally got your record out. Finally got some product out there. Yeah, I guess you probably made CDs, but I see it's on streaming. And June of 2020 is when you released that.
Yep.
How long in the making was that? And was it a difficult process for you? Because you kind of went it, you went it alone there, kind of on your own, didn't you?
Yeah, that was about 30 years worth of life experience put into 5 songs. The one song towards the end, Sped and Devil, was a story I heard growing up. And you're talking about how that one song, Dreams, was written in 10 minutes. Well, the song, Sped and Devil, was written in 30 minutes because of this life experience, these stories I've heard growing up about the tale of how the devil came to town, and all these different things rolled into one. But that song came out 3 o'clock in the morning. 30 minutes, I was done. I looked at the song. I said, okay, there's a verse, there's a
Wow.
chorus, bridge. Perfect. It's done. And I felt totally content with it. And the other
Yeah.
songs like Small Town, based on where I grew up, is just life experience as well. Country Girls is based on a true story about how my cousin got a new truck. We were driving to the city, got made fun of because we went hunting the same day. There was a quad on the back. It was muddy top to bottom, and we got made fun of by these city girls. And they said, "Oh, look at these hillbillies! Look at these hicks!" And of course, we showed up dressed to the nines and ready for a good night at Cook County Saloon. And they were standing in line making fun of us. But I knew the manager, and my buddy Joey was working there at the time. So I said, "Hey, Joe, Jared here. Can you let us in?" So we walked right through the line, and these girls were like, who are these guys, right? So as they got him, we're like, oh, sorry about that. Maybe we'll buy you a drink. And then we bought him a drink, and then ended up asking the girl to dance. And I tried to dance with her, and she couldn't two-step. So she was dressed country, but she wasn't country. It was kind of like a poser, or whatever you want to call
Yeah,
her. But
yeah.
and then I ended up dancing with this girl from Onaway, and she could rip up the dance floor. Like she had all the girls lined up for like do 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 nitty gritty dirt band, um,
Yeah.
Cadillac Ranch, and man, it's just life experience, I guess. So Country Girls based on a true story,
Yeah.
Small Town based on the true story of where I grew up. Up on stage is that feeling of what does it feel like to be up on stage? Because people always ask me that. What does it feel like to be up on stage? So I do my best in all the analogies that I can to answer that question. And I never thought about this, but somebody said this is a graduation song because you work so freaking hard. And I know what this is like because I went to school for 2 years to get my business diploma. And I actually recorded this album while I was in school. So that was hard. Being
Wow.
being a broke student and saving every penny from every gig to put that towards recording, that was hard.
Wow.
That was
Good
so
for
hard.
you, Jared. Like,
So
oh my
if
God.
if you want to talk about how Johnny was expressing hardworking man, yeah, I like to work hard because I want the results. I want to be able to see the fruits of my labor, and now they're starting to come in with those nice royalties.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So now I
it
can
doesn't hurt.
reinvest. Now I can, I have the business sense now where I know how to do the traditional part of business, but now I'm applying it to music. In the music
Mhm.
industry, it's all new to me, but I knew that I needed to have a product, especially one that I believed in.
Yeah.
And then from there, I need to be able to promote it and get my music out there everywhere, to as many places as humanly possible, and be as relentless as possibly, not so pushy where I'm shoving it down people's throats, but just being
Yeah.
kind enough to say, hey, listen, did you happen to listen to this EP? And if
Yeah.
you get a chance, if you like it, cool. If not, then that's fine too. It's no skin off my ass kind of deal.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, when you made this record, it was kind of, to me, when I was hearing about these, the process that you went through with using musicians from out of country, and you sent your
Mhm.
songs down, and you kind of told them what you wanted, and they just sort of did the backing tracks for you.
Yeah. Not only that, but I also worked with people that were here in Canada as well. So I worked with my cousin Donita on one of the songs. I worked with Terry Hawkness as well. He did some of the harmonizing. So it's kind of like it was like a joint venture, if you want to call it. So it's like half Canadian, half American. Tune designer
Mhm.
came up with the backtrack for me. I had the melody inside my head, and they helped me kind of structure the song how I wanted it to sound. And if it wasn't exactly how I wanted it, then I would send it back and say, listen, I need a little bit longer of a solo, or shorten it down to 16 bars or 24, something like that. But I ended up using Kyler Timofeychuk, fiddle player from Edmonton, my cousin Donita. Great, great voice on her. I mean, if you want to hear an Aretha Franklin meets Adele meets Jesus and Fergie, that's my cousin Donita. So
Oh,
music is in the
Wow.
family. You're gonna
yeah.
you're gonna
Yeah.
hear her in the future. Trust me. And then I had Terry back me up on the harmonies and his ideas with how to structure the song properly, and even what key they were supposed to be singing, stuff like that. Because I don't know,
Mhm.
like, I'm still new to this. Like, I can write a song and I could sing it, but the whole production part of it, that's where I kind of lack. So I'm learning how to record now. I'm learning how to record myself, how to use Pro
Awesome.
Tools, how to get my vocals and everything mixed properly. And there's also one person I'm missing, is James Steele, Grand National Champion fiddle player, was on my song Sped and Devil, and the solo, he just blew it away. I didn't
Yeah.
hear what the solo was like until the song came back to me,
Wow.
but when I listened to the solo, I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exciting. Yeah.
That's
No
cool.
So
kidding.
the anxiousness or the anxiety of having to listen to your finished product, that's what I like. And then say,
Mhm.
okay,
Hmm.
yeah, it's good. But as an artist, it's never good enough. Like, I'm like, oh man, I could have did this better. Oh, I
I
could have
know,
sang that a little bit
always.
better. Always. So it's never gonna
It's
Yeah.
be
always,
finished.
yeah.
It's always, hard on ourselves, and I find I'm hard on
Mhm.
myself too. Like, if I can redo that song, I would have added this, or I would have added
Yeah.
more of that. So,
No kidding. It's true.
yep.
Well,
Yeah.
it's great that you're, learning to be self-sufficient and record yourself.
That's huge.
It's huge for musicians nowadays.
Yeah.
Like Dale Penner said a few weeks ago, if you're not recording yourself, if you haven't learned how to record yourself, you're not really in the game, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
for songwriting and getting your ideas across,
And just putting
it's
out
the
your
way to go.
own stuff and being in control of being able to do that, right?
So, look,
Yeah.
Jared, we actually have a sponsor on the
Yeah.
show here,
Yeah.
and we're just going to do a little ad for Field Fox Cookery.
And then we're going to come
And then we're
back.
going to come back. We're going to talk to you about some stuff that's gone on recently. Maybe you can, shed some light on some situations here for us. So,
What
Yeah.
Les,
situation?
Oh.
Go ahead.
Situation Room with
Situation.
Wolf Blitzer.
No. All right. So, Field Fox Gardens and Cookery is a food preparation and delivery service in Saskatoon. They are 100% gluten free and organic and only use quality ingredients found close to home. Field Fox has just launched the pre selling of lasagna. Yay, my favorite lasagna, in your choice of 2 sizes. They are proud to partner with Farm 140 to provide grass fed beef in this carefully prepared classic meal that is delivered frozen for your convenience. That's awesome. So you can take a night off, not cook, but still eat really good food, like home cooked, you know, um, great quality food, right?
Good goodness.
No kidding. In the coming days and weeks, the menu will grow to include fresh salads, condiments, spice blends, and more frozen prepared meals to suit every lifestyle. Their products are soon to be featured at Saskmade Marketplace, which only sells the best local goods. So please visit fieldfox.ca to order your lasagna and sign up for the newsletter to be notified as the menu expands. This is a local business, and support local. And really, again, you can take a night off of cooking and you can have
Well,
still
you still
amazing
have to cook
food.
it.
Like rather than going getting
You just have to put
crap
it in the oven,
fast
though.
food,
You just have to put it in the
you just
oven.
got to put it in the oven. You
Yeah.
still got to cook it. You can't eat it frozen,
Yeah.
but you don't have to prepare and all that stuff. So check them out, fieldfox.ca.
You had me at
Now
gluten
back
free.
to Jarrid Lee.
As soon
Woo!
as you said gluten free, like when you're singing and you try and have a meal before you sing and entertain,
Yeah.
I don't like being bloated. So the fast food doesn't work for me.
Totally.
Grease doesn't
Totally.
agree with me, but I need something that's light, like pasta and
Yeah.
gluten free. So Field
No
Fox.
kidding. Field
Yeah.
Fox. That's right. Order your lasagna.
Looks like
You
we
like the
got
necklace?
like
Ooh, let me
like your
see.
music
Oh,
and your
that's
necklace.
cool.
From
Ooh.
I got this at the Enchanted Forest. So me and my
Oh.
wife, we went to Penticton, and on our way back, I told her like, "You gotta check this place out." And she's like, "What is it?" I'm like, "It's called the Enchanted Forest." So I showed her what the Enchanted Forest was. Blown away. She loved it. And then we were at the gift shop, and I was really drawn to this necklace. It's got some old, looks like bone in it, and some old wood. So I decided to get it, and that was about 4 years ago.
Okay,
You
Enchanted.
said bone and wood in one sentence. That's pretty good.
Bone and wood.
Okay,
Wood.
Enchanted
Get your money out of the gutter.
Forest. Enchanted Forest is yeah, like the lights, the tree lights and everything, right? Am I thinking the
No,
Enchanted
he said in
Forest?
Penticton.
Oh, in Penticton, because I was like,
Yeah.
I missed the
It's on the way
Penticton
back
part because
from
I was like,
Penticton
where is
by
the shop?
Yeah,
Like, I didn't
it
even
was
know there was a
It
shop.
was at the Enchanted Forest, right behind the 12 Maids
Revelstoke.
milking.
12 maids of milking. Yeah, that's right.
Revelstoke, I
Yeah,
think, would be the closest town to that. Revelstoke, BC.
Revelstoke.
Yeah, but there is a place if you
Hmm.
were to look up the Enchanted Forest.
Had
Oh.
dinner a few times
Oh, Deborah says, I love the Enchanted
at
Forest. I've
the
got to go.
ABC. No, it was
Yeah.
in Golden. At the ABC in Golden.
Oh,
I'm trying to
That
think of
meal
where
will
it's
live in
bought.
infamy.
It's 760 Trans Canada Highway, Revelstoke, BC. It's such a
760.
beautiful place.
okay,
It's
so why
got
do they call it the Enchanted Forest? I have to know this.
it's got everything that you can think of. It's got fairies, it's got dwarves, it's got
Oh my
a
God.
lady living in a shoe. Like all the nursery rhymes we heard growing up as children,
Yeah.
they brought it to life. It's got like a castle. It's got
Okay, we got to go.
mushrooms,
Yeah,
and
I want to meet the lady
it's
that lives in a
cool.
shoe.
And it's in the forest, and there's places you can just walk up and uh, little small doors you can go in, and it's great. It's got
It
everything.
sounds magical. It sounds enchanted.
It's very enchanted. Like if you were to picture a castle
Right.
that's in the woods, that you would come across the enchanted forest.
Okay, well,
Right
we're
on.
going.
So,
Check it out.
so Greg Kozak
Mhm.
gets you to join the SCMA,
Mhm.
which, by the way, Greg Kozak is a pretty great guy. Um, now you're involved as assistant vice president. Is that your title, or what do you?
Second vice
Second,
president. He goes
in case the
president, vice
first
president, second vice
second
president.
vice
Wow.
president.
Awesome.
So that's kind of where I'm
Okay.
sitting at now.
Yeah, and then I mean, this is maybe going to get a little uncomfortable here to talk about, but you had a meeting a while back, and there was some comments made, and it sort of rocked the SCMA world in a little bit of a way there, where some comments were racist, and you actually, bravely spoke up about
Yeah,
it.
I grew up being native. No surprise there. But I also grew up in a racist town where uh, native kids were mean to me because they thought I looked too white, and then my French and Ukrainian friends were mean to me because I was native, and I was the only native kid on the hockey team for a little while. So I grew up in a town that was it's openly racist, even to this day. Like I don't want to say anything bad about my hometown, but if
Hmm.
people don't want to change, then that's fine. But it seems like they're stuck in the past, and they need to move forward.
Hmm.
But for the most part, I heard those jokes growing up, and they don't have to be very direct jokes. They can be subtle little comments, and that's what I noticed during our meeting. Was I asked, "Hey guys, what are we doing with the Indigenous, Artist of the Year award? Are we going to be giving that out? Are you going to be having people apply for it? Is it null and void now? Are we doing a bursary? What's going on?" And then there was a little bit of talk about it, and then somebody said, why give them an award when they're just going to pawn it off anyway?
Mm.
And that's when I got mad. And if
Hmm.
I'm mad, I don't say anything. So I just kind of
Hmm.
calm down because I don't want to say anything that I'm going to regret later
Yeah,
or
that's
start an
yeah.
argument. So
Yeah.
I
Give
was
it
like,
some
okay, I'm
time.
mad, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna say something, but I don't want to say it right now. So I got off our virtual meeting, and I calmed down, and I
Mhm.
paced around the house a little bit, and I smudged about it. And I said,
Mm.
okay, well, if this person was making it as a joke towards Indigenous people, I have to call them on it. I
Mhm.
do, because I'm not gonna let that slide, especially if that's how some people think or if that's how they feel.
Mhm.
Joke or not, like let's say it wasn't about Indigenous people. Do you know of an artist that would fall on hard times that would actually pawn off one of their awards? No. Well, there might be somebody that would pawn off an award, but that's your hard work, all your hard earned
Yeah.
efforts and everything rolled into one. And that's why we do this, is so that
Yeah.
we can get the recognition, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
race aside, that joke is, it was poking fun at people who are going through a rough time too. So that didn't sit well with me.
Mhm.
So either way, I wrote an email about it. Um, I CC'd the president, I CC'd the vice president, and the person that made the comment. And then he messaged me the next day, wrote an email back and said that he was sorry. He didn't mean to offend me. He kind of, made it as a joke. And I know those little subtle jokes, what they mean, because I grew up around that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
had to, I just had to point out the elephant in the room that, listen, maybe, maybe we're not being as inclusive as we think we are. Because
Mhm.
even the last 5 years, I've had to push myself to get up on stage. Like what Johnny's talking about is being hardworking.
Mhm.
I shouldn't have to ask, you know, to be up on stage or beg or cry or demand, but that's what I did in order to get up on stage, to play some of these events. And I love the
Mhm.
fact that we had an open mic every Wednesday because I was there and I hosted
Mhm.
probably about 20 of them. So I loved
Yeah.
being up on stage and networking with people. And not only that, but inviting people, inviting everybody of different backgrounds to join the SCMA. But what I
Mhm.
found in the last 5 years was that there was a lot of reluctancy of people that wanted to join. So I kind of did a little bit of a market research and asked, why don't people want to join? And then a lot of the responses were, what's in it for me? Like, why should I join if there's nothing there for me? And that's kind of where we're at right now. Is um, the president said it the best. He said, yes, there is systemic racism within the SCMA because of the fact that we're not inclusive of certain people, that it is primarily for non-indigenous, for everybody else but indigenous people or minorities, then we're exclusive. We're like an exclusive club for people that are, you know, white. And he
Mhm.
said it the best, saying we need to be better. We need to be more open to everybody, and not only that, but backgrounds too of LGBTQ2 spirit. We need to have more
Mhm.
people like that joining the SCMA and to be open to everybody, because it's, if things don't change, when are they ever going to change? Now
Mhm.
Yeah.
imagine Julian having to grow up and having to fight just to get into play music. I mean,
Mhm.
so that's why I'm doing this, is that if there's a young native kid out there that happens to be gay, I want them to feel at home within the SCMA, not to feel as if they're pushed aside or that they're nothing. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if people love music, they love music.
Yeah.
Like when I went to Craven, I
Exactly.
was so proud. I was freaking so proud to play that stage, you guys, when I got off. There were native people that were in the crowd that were happy for me, saying, "Hey man, you made it. You made me proud." So for them, when they give me a pat on the back and I look back at that huge stage, it makes me feel proud. It gets me emotional because we have a long way to go. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's just one of those things where it is awkward to talk about. It is a little bit uncomfortable, but change is inevitable and change is coming, and it's going to be a
Yeah.
good change.
Yeah.
I truly believe that society is leaning more towards being nice to one another. And I've been guilty of being an asshole. Like even asked Johnny, he said, "Man, when you first got started, you can't have this chip on your shoulder," and I realized I did. You know, I was like, "Yeah, why do I have a chip on my shoulder? Am I carrying something that's not mine?" Or something that's
Mhm.
maybe geared towards inequality that I see within the SCMA that I can't figure out yet. Because when I got
Mhm.
first got here, I was called the next Roland, the next Indigenous Artist of the Year
Which is
by
Roland Corrigal, right? Is that
Roland
who we're
Corrigal,
talking about?
another
Right.
great, awesome Indigenous artist, and he was Indigenous Artist of the Year. So I basically got categorized when I first got here, and that didn't make me feel good. It didn't make me
No.
feel welcome. It made me feel like, here, there's your spot. You go sit in the corner.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
at the awards, when I was talking to Alex Ronians, I'm like, dude, you're male artist of the year. How do I get to there? What's your secret? What do you have to do in order to get there? How do I become you? And he goes, well, first of all, and he told me like everything I need to know. Great guy. And what me and Johnny were talking about was you have to have a lot of friends and allies because it is a peer based system where it's a peer voting system. So the more friends you have in the SCMA, the more they're going to vote for you. Now that's also going
Mm-hmm.
to change because it's not
Yeah.
fair. It's not fair for people who I'm not going to kiss somebody's ass to get a vote because I just don't do that. If you like my music, cool. If you don't, that's okay too. It's to each their own. But
Yeah.
for us to get a vote and for people to, you know, have their friends to vote for them, and it is what it is. But
Yeah.
for the most part, things are changing, and I forgot my train of thought. But I was along the lines of the SCMA being categorized, and also somebody said something to me along the lines of just stick to your category. Now that offended me.
Nah, that's
It offended
offensive.
me to the
Yeah.
point
Yeah.
where I called him on it right then and there. So while I was standing next to Alex Renians, he can vouch for this. Um, I told the guy who said this to me, listen, when you close your eyes and you open your heart and you open your effing ears, can you hear that I'm native? Well, he's like, no, no,
Yeah.
I can't hear, but you're visibly native, right? So you should just be in the indigenous category. I'm like, no, 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 no. Let's go back. Let's go back.
Mm-hmm.
Backtrack. When you open your ears and you open your heart and you close your eyes, can you hear that I'm native when I sing? He goes, no, I can't. I said, well, then why can't I be the?
Yeah, we have some
Um,
comments that this tonight, and it's true, Jarrid, because if you don't say anything, talk about what they're going through.
Artist who
Right.
identifies as bisexual up in Prince Albert, but it was the SCMA Awards.
The voice. He's got some songs. He's good, and I've seen your journey from that moment to where you are now. And I don't know. We've been a part of the SCMA now for 5, 6 years, and I've sat on committees, and you know, maybe it's just things you don't see, and you call it white privilege or whatever that is. But at no point was there, a lot of a white person's organization that is known as racist.
Yeah.
And
And of course, we don't see these things
we don't live it. We
because
don't
we don't live
experience
it. We don't
right?
experience what you're need to hear you speak up. People aren't talking that way around us, then we have no idea. And we do need to be gosh.
I think we all need to be back. Yes, I have been mean to, and I've reached out to people and said, hey, what is it? What do you think it is?
Mm.
And then we just,
Yeah.
whether it's a difference in opinion or something what you say in today's world, because it's getting to the point where it is black and white now. Like there is no more gray area. So you have to be careful what you post. And something he posted on Instagram stating, if you're not with me, then we're no longer friends. So you can't give people ultimatums like that anymore and burn bridges. Sometimes
Yep.
if people are so mean to you, you have to burn some bridges. But for the most part, speaker says he called it restorative justice in our culture too, where if somebody does something wrong to you, they have to make it right, and then we make amends. And not only that, but we have to work together moving forward. That's a teaching that's in our culture that has been it's being brought forward now in what you would call indigenizing workplaces, indigenizing corporation, sharing love, respect. As the world's start to get more to Big Bang Theory, and nobody's getting off this, so let's just all get together and just.
certainly proud of you for carrying that voice. Can you and
I'll do it to some.
but
Oh yeah,
and the courage it takes to put
yeah.
yourself out there like that.
Racist towards kids from Saddle Lake because we're playing a native team. Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now we're coming history of Canada, and it's an ugly one. Still getting taken, and it was in the. I went to residential school when I was 3 and 4 years old. That's where I lost
Yeah.
my language.
Well, yeah, there's so many stories I've heard too of Rick, my brother. He was telling me things like even traditionally, Indigenous people would only hunt for what they needed. they
Absolutely.
wouldn't, right? They wouldn't,
Wouldn't take more than what we needed.
exactly. But when, um, I guess it was Europeans came over and they started. The big
Hunting
rage was the pelts, the beaver
the beaver
pelt
pelts, and they
hats.
sent them back to Britain and England. Those were like
Yes,
they were like $2,000 for a felt hat
yes.
back in like the
So they played
1800s.
these games with, the indigenous people at the time to basically to get them to over hunt because
Hmm.
they were making money off of it. So it's just greed, right? It was just greed that came over. And there's so much we could have learned together if
Hmm.
it, obviously, if we could go back and it was a perfect world, we could do it again. It would be like, well, you show us like how can we work with the land? How can we, like, we would it, but
And they
we're
would
going to
have.
Just
get
watch
there. We're going to,
just watch
and they were,
Avatar. I mean, Avatar is a great movie, and if you talk about taking the resources, my cousin George is a big advocate for the oil sands and the tar sands. And how is it possible that a small community of like 1,600 to 30, I don't know how many people are in Fort Chipewyan, but they live downriver from the tar sands and they have the highest rare bile duct cancer in Canada. So
mm,
that's no coincidence that all these carcinogens and everything and all the, um, they call them tailings ponds, leak into the Athabasca River and they go right towards this community. And a lot of people have died because of this rare bile duct cancer that were young people, 25,
wow.
26,
Wow.
so that's like the movie Avatar.
Yeah,
And when that movie was made, the producer came up and he saw the tar sands. He goes, "This is sick. This is
yeah.
disgusting. This shouldn't be happening." And we believe in natural law. So at the end of the day, Mother Nature gets the last say. Look at what's
Mm,
going on right now. Now, how
yeah.
cool is that the world got to slow down for about 1 year, and
Mhm,
things like rivers have started to clean up. The air has started to get clean again. You go to places like India where the pollution was so high, now they actually have clean air. The
mm,
world will heal itself, but we need to do our part too.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's part of our teachings is that we don't take more than what we need.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
So
So,
anyways, not
Yeah.
too deep in the conversation.
Yeah, I know, it's
have
true. Yeah.
you rediscovered your language?
Yeah, I'm discovering it again through my mother-in-law, through my mom, other mentors. There's actually a program back home at Blue Quills. It's the Indigenous program, the language learning program, where we get to learn Cree again. But yeah, for the most part, I'm trying. And there's a word in my language called agamemok, where it means to keep going. So no matter what, I'm
Mm,
still going to be learning until I'm old, until I'm an elder, until I can be able to identify everything around me um, with perfect pronunciation and how to describe the life I'm living um, in everyday sentences, whether I roll out of bed or what when it comes naturally. But
mhm,
it's hard. It's hard because I'm
mm,
constantly around English and other languages. But I find when I'm learning my language, I'm learning other languages easier. Like I love
mm,
Spanish, and
mhm,
I'm learning the Lago right now with Filip- Filipino, Philippines, that language, and other languages too within the indigenous communities. Like we're in Saskatoon, we're surrounded by Dakota, Lakota, Stoney, Dakota,
mm,
Cree, Dene, Soto, all these different languages. So it's not just one language for all of Canada. There's
mhm.
hundreds of languages right across North America.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's very hard to learn a new language when you're not practicing it all the time and using it all the time. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, Agamemok.
Oh, did you
Agamemok.
remember it?
Agamemok.
Agamemuk.
Agamemok. Yeah.
You do
Agamemuk.
that because
Did Did
you
you guys ever
we
watch The Amazing Race? One last little point here. The Amazing
um
Race Canada, my cousin James and his husband Anthony were on there and they
Oh,
won the
wow.
Amazing Race and that was their team name was called Team Agamemok. Team Keep Going.
there you
Keep
go.
trying. Yeah.
Right on.
Cool.
Well,
Awesome. We're at
I think
the,
we're grateful for your
oh,
presence on the board. I hope
very
that
much so.
you know your struggles benefit us all, and it's for the greater good. And we're watching and we're pulling for you, and we'll certainly do our part to
Yeah.
help. And now you're nominated for in the category of best EP and best album is the
I'm gonna
category.
I'm gonna get my butt kicked. I mean, I'm up against Jordan Pollard. She's an amazing artist from Lloydminster that's up and coming. Tennille Arts, Samara Young, Shantea. I'm up against ladies, but
But to be
awesome.
in that company,
It's a good,
right?
pretty
Like,
good
Awesome.
category.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
it's gonna be hard, but for the most part, I'm just glad to be nominated. And I was originally nominated for 5, and me and Terry were nominated for 6 categories. But we only lasted till 1, which would be the EP or album of the year. Huge honor. I mean, just to be surrounded by all these awesome ladies, and they're gonna kick my butt, and it's okay. But for the most part, we're all in this together and moving forward as artists. And win or lose, it's cool that we're able to share our gift of music with the world.
Mhm. For sure.
It's
For
good,
sure.
clean fun. Hopefully, we can keep it that way. Right?
Yeah. Well, what have
Well,
you got coming up? Just to wrap it up, like, do you have anything coming up that you'd like to talk about?
Oh man, should I? Yes. Okay. Next week, I'm shutting down Ramy and I'm recording. I'm gonna be filming
Ooh.
a music video there on Tuesday. It's close to the general public, but we have the place all to ourselves. And Thursday, we're actually gonna be filming on the rooftop. So if you guys are watching live, we don't want you to show up there, but for the most part, it's an amazing building that has a lot of it's very artistic. So that
Mhm.
me being able to showcase the gallery itself, a little bit of Saskatoon, where I used to work was at Ramy as the Indigenous program guide. That's coming out. So I got a music video coming out. I wanted to do it in time for the awards, but it doesn't happen. I mean, things take time to get booked now longer than ever. You can't just show up
Yeah.
someplace and say, okay, we want to do this. Everything's taking time. And I got a phone call from a producer who has been watching my progress for the last 4 or 5 years. And this guy's good. Basically gave me a phone call and interview, sent him 5 songs. We're picking one song to do. So me and Bart McKay, we're going to be working on a new single. It's called
Oh,
All
that's
Night. So that's
awesome.
huge.
what
That's
what
huge.
Oh,
song?
that's
What
so
song is that?
exciting.
What song?
All Night.
All Night.
All Night. It's based on a true story. I'm actually gonna give the proceeds, most of the proceeds, to Men's Cancer Awareness because it's dedicated to a friend that lost of cancer, and it's also dedicated to the wife and the 2 girls he left this world with. So it's going out to them. But for the most part, it's a story about a boy meets a girl. They fall in love, have a couple of kids, and as you get older, love starts to dwindle a little bit. So you go back to your favorite spot and you rekindle that love for each other. Then as you get older, you take your grandkids there. So it's full circle. It's the circle of life,
Mm.
you know. So I
Mhm.
kind of ended off the story as if my friend was still here as a grandpa and sharing his favorite spot with the grandkids. And it's such a heartfelt, loving song. And I
Yeah,
got
that's
other stuff that's
beautiful.
coming out too. So I want to keep recording with Tune Designer. I mean, those guys they do an amazing job for Backtracks down in Georgia.
Mhm.
And full length album would be probably around 8 to 9 songs. You know, as long as I get over that 30 minutes, then I'm okay to submit for the Junos and Breakout West and all those other things. And I didn't know all
Yeah.
this. Now I do.
Yeah.
Right.
I was
Yeah.
1 minute short to submit for the Junos this year. And I had to have 20 minutes, and I had 19 minutes. Really,
Oh,
really, 1 minute. So I'm
wow.
short. So I
Yeah.
Uh,
didn't submit.
Wow. Well, that's great that Bart reached out for you. He's
oh my
certainly
gosh. Yeah, that's amazing.
that's an awesome story.
Yeah.
He's a talented guy, and for him to call you up like that is,
I'm excited to hear that.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
That's
partnership.
gonna be. I want it to be a little bit more radio friendly and also pop. Like,
Mm.
not big into the pop, but if I have to go that direction, I will. I'm more into like if we
Have
can't
fun
play it
with it.
live. If I can't play it live with the band, then we won't do it. But I'm over that now.
Yeah.
So if I have to get onto mainstream radio by going a little bit more pop, then so be it. And me and Bart,
Oh
we're
yeah.
gonna knock it out of the park, and I have full faith in him, and I'm putting my life in his hands. And this song is my baby, but by all means, shape it and form it to how
Oh,
it's gonna
he'll do
fit.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll
can't
be
wait to
great.
hear that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's super cool.
That's awesome.
Well, when are they? Was the 17th?
The
April
17th.
17th.
Yeah.
Look at him. There he is.
There's me trying to bend my B string.
It's a rocking photo.
That's a great photo.
Yeah,
April 17th. It's
main stage of
online. Oh,
Craven.
there is. There is at Craven. There is.
Ooh, did you guys
Oh,
want to talk
awesome.
about Tanya Tucker before we go?
Oh, right.
hey.
Hey,
Sure.
you've done this before, haven't you?
Well, you mentioned
Yeah.
it earlier, so you know the
Right.
drummer. Mike.
Well, Mike, who's playing with Tanya Tucker now, is he living in Nashville?
He's living in
He's
Nashville.
living in
Yeah.
Nashville. He was the Goo Goo Dolls drummer,
Mhm.
and we were on tour with him for well over a
Years.
year, and
Yeah.
had played many dates with Mike. Great guy. And where was that at? Was that what casino was that at?
This is at River Cree. It's basically my home casino in Edmonton. So Enoch, First Nation, Edmonton. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's River Cree. Is great venue, huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did you get to meet Mike?
Did you get to meet anybody
Yeah,
in the band
actually,
or?
I actually texted you at the time and I said, Johnny opening up for Tanya Tucker. He's like, don't be nervous. I'm like, nervous? Yeah, I was nervous. I was puking before the show. But then Johnny goes, I know the drummer. The drummer used to play for Goo Goo Dolls while we were on tour with, Pursuit of Happiness, and we're on tour with these guys. And I said, what's the drummer's name? Mike. So I go, hey Mike, Johnny Sinclair said, oh Johnny, you tell him I said hi. So this is in between when we were getting up on stage and he was playing kind of deal. So we did get to meet
Awesome.
Tanya. And on a side note, on my show this Saturday, I actually have Tanya Tucker's fiddle player in dobro and string guy Jake Clayton on my show this weekend.
Nice.
Nice.
Everything kind
Good
of
work.
ripple effect. It's the shaking
No
hands. It's the
kidding.
bumping fists and getting to know people that get you places.
I know. And when's your show?
Saturday at 7 o'clock on my Jarrid Lee page. It's just called the
Okay.
Backstage Pass, kind of like the Green Room. We're hanging out in the Green Room.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah.
So Saturdays. Okay, check
Yeah.
out Jarrid. And yeah, it's been amazing having you, Jarrid. Thank you so much for your time. We
For
love
sure.
you. We think you're amazing. And yeah, we got to do this again.
All right, next Saturday.
All right, Jarrid. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
All right.
You have a good night.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Take care.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's what are we doing now? Okay, yeah, we're doing show wrap up. We've only got a couple of minutes here. Yeah.
Let's wrap it up.
We what's going on around town? Well, what do we always say?
Nothing.
Well, if you're a club and you want to promote anything, just let us know and just look.
You'll know we're making an impact when clubs actually start saying, "Hey, can you mention our show?"
Yeah, exactly. No kidding. Okay, and we want to thank Jarrid Lee for being on the show tonight. That was incredible. Thank you, Jarrid.
Yeah.
And let's just see. Oh, and thank you to our sponsor, Field Fox Gardens and Cookery. Order that lasagna at fieldfox.ca. Again, it's organic and it's gluten-free. And please subscribe.
I was going to say vegan free.
Oh,
I don't know
that
why.
would
That
be
doesn't make
weird.
sense.
Please subscribe and follow No YXE on YouTube and Facebook. And the Green Room also has t-shirts, so be sure to check that out. And
next week we already know who our guests are, which is unusual.
I know
We don't usually kind of have it lined up until
but we
weekend.
know.
That's the weird thing about Wednesdays is like, so tomorrow's Thursday. And it's like, oh, we're not going to think about anything. And then Friday, it's the weekend. And then it's Monday. It's like, oh my God, we got to get guests for the show.
It's true. So we've got some really cool guests lined up coming
SCMA
up.
artists.
Yeah, we're going along with the Saskatchewan Country Music Association Awards that are coming up. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to promote just a couple of other No YXE shows here. Be sure to tune in to the YXE Sports Podcast Mondays at 6 o'clock for everything sports. And then Let's Chat is on Tuesdays at 11 a.m.
That's in Arabic.
That's right. And then In Focus YXE is Thursday at 7 p.m. And that's a game show. That's a lot of fun. And then Slow TV YXE is Sunday at 10 a.m. And if you're an artist and you have something coming up, be sure to email us at thegreenroomyxe@noyxe.com. So it's been great seeing everybody, and we'll see you again in another week on Wednesday at 7. Tune in and keep on rocking and rolling.
Peace out.